Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Forgotten Generation podcast, hosted by Troy Njenje Mbanga. This podcast is about amplifying young people's voices and the journeys they're on. I am joined by a Barnardo's and Co-op Youth Advisor Group member and a youth advocate and a college student. Saeed, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Saeed and I am a student in Cardiganvale College, and I also work with Barnardo's and Co-op Partnership, helping young people.
What is your youth voice and journey and your social action?
My journey has been like using practical knowledge and practical skills to make an awareness, so there's a difference. I'd always tell them like certain places are bad for you, certain places are okay for you, but in general internet's not really good place for you. Like facing challenges with money things, like either it's groceries, so like you like budgeting your plans, and as you asked, it was like the journey, so it's like a long journey of like building confidence, building experience as I get along with others. When I first started like youth work or anything with youth service related, I was at home all day in my room doing nothing, and afterward I end up going to youth club, so joining them, talking to people, made friends. Now we're like friends forever now. So um, and then it came where like Barnardo services, the 20 locations came up, and then I was help design the location, the one near me, and then I got offered to join the digital subgroup, so I took it, and then now I met a lot of people and got to know their stories and their experiences, which helped me understand my experience and skills I've got during that journey.
And that's amazing. You developed that confidence to really have a voice. And you very much touched on about Bernardo's, how that's kind of helped you, hasn't it, to come out of your shell?
Yeah, it's like my whole journey. It was like mostly it's just confidence. If you don't have confidence, that's where you like held you back. So when you have confidence, that's when it's like your confidence boosting you to go out, do something instead of staying home. You could still do stuff, but like not by yourself. Like socialize with people, talk about stuff that's could be relatable, or like something that others could face that you might have solved problem to, and then they could get it like, you solved this problem, I'm gonna solve mine using your technique.
Exactly. And I think that's just so inspiring. What has like inspired you and to be who you are today and to have that voice?
I mean, I was inspired by seeing people struggle with problems that they didn't always get attention to, and it made me realize that understanding something, and like there's a gap between understanding and then listening, because like, yeah, you could listen to someone but not understand. So I mean, like always gotta like, you gotta speak up to make things better. I mean, even though a lot of people, they're like same with the confidence, if you don't have it you can't really say anything. So it inspired me to like speak up and like talk against causes or anything that others could face that I might could help with. So yeah.
And absolutely not what you said. And it also can be a hard thing, can't it, with confidence? And that can also lead to like a barrier. So was there ever times where you felt that having a voice or just wanting to make that difference can also be a barrier for you, who you are? And was that a hard thing about confidence?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the confidence also could be the people around you. So depending the type of people around you. So if you're friends and they're like giving you the confidence, that's where you're like, yeah, these people believing in what I'm doing, so I got confidence. But if it's like people you don't know, that's where your confidence go down a lot. And like that's when I experienced that. When I met new people first, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to them until I get to know them, like by just learning about them while they are talking with others. So it was like that. I mean, yeah, it's always the confidence.
Exactly, and it always is. And I think hopefully, like listeners listening to this episode can really take away that confidence. And so, what are the key issues that you think young people are facing right now, and that you think and government ministers and professionals need to do better in supporting our voice?
Cost of living most of the time. Like, I mean, I've said like before to others, like cost of living because it's so expensive. Like people struggle eating healthy as well. Because like unhealthy food is a lot cheaper in general and is more accessible for some reason. And then like so because it's more accessible, you have like the cost of living. You have a priorities then. So either rent, like the bills, so your electricity bills and heatings, so they become your priority and your food becomes the last priority, so you don't care or you don't put much thought on what you're eating as long as you survive or like survive off homelessness. That's always been like cheap food is cheaper and accessible because they're unhealthy, because most of the time it's processed, so it's easier for the manufacturers to keep it, but it's not healthy for the human bodies. And there was like mental pressures as well, like increasing stress, but support system can feel hard. So like when talking to people, like interviews or anything, and then people like too formal, so like being too formal like gives others the pressure saying I gotta be formal as well, but that might be not a comfort zone. That's also because not being comfortable builds up the mental health pressures. Yeah.
Absolutely, and these issues are so important at the moment, with healthy food, because there's a lot of talk at the moment about healthy eating for like young people in schools, cutting down the processed foods and all the foods that are not good for young people to eat. To really like look at what we're eating, and also the cost of living crisis that keeps dominating the news as well. Electricity on things and like fuel prices for like for cars, but also mental health as well, pressures of
Yeah.
that and anxiety and depression. There needs to be more support. Do you think the government needs to really come to schools a bit more, or maybe like youth club centres to really capture what young people are
Yeah,
saying?
so that's why we need young people to talk about young people, because then we could all relate and not like say, oh, I don't think that's the thing, so not hate. So we could all relate and not hate on a subject then. Yeah, so we're always good to have a young people voice.
And exactly, that's so important. And what I love about working with Barnardo as well as you is that we have like the content creators who very much create different content around mental health, around like recipes to cook and like other things. And it's really useful for like actual young people to create content for young people, like help them
Yeah.
like in everyday life. And I think it's so important that we actually create those like and spaces for young people to have a say and to really empower change.
Yeah. So Bernardo's doing the service. It's really helping other young people too.
Yeah, it really is. And so what would be your one piece of advice to a young person wanting to make a difference and make change?
Always like starting small. It doesn't have to be a big thing. So start small and focus on what's front of you. So get that barriers out. And like you don't need like a big platform. Just solve one problem, help one person, and then that creates a chain reaction. So like if you help one person, that person helps another person. So if you help two person, that people are gonna help other two person. So it's like a chain reaction, like a pyramid chain reaction, which is really like a good thing. And that's like spreading words around and solving problems and helping people, building confidence, and over time, like then you see the impact of the growth and all the stuff. Yeah.
I love that. I love that one piece of advice. I really hope people can take away on that because it's really great. And so, to finish this episode, what would be a Forgotten Generation podcast quote to sum up your journey all
Like
together?
people are not failing the system is failing people. When survival becomes priority, things like health get left behind. Start small like a chain reaction, stay consistent, and be part of the change that makes life fair.
That is such a brilliant summary of your journey, and that's a great way to end this episode today. So, thank you so much for coming on today's
Thank you.
episode. Thanks for listening to the podcast episode. This is a Beaver Change Media Network production. Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and iwill.troy, and also on X, iwill_Troy. Tune in to next week's episode.